of Eithopia, Her Excellency Mrs. Zinash Tayachi, all the First Ladies here present, my dear sisters, technical advisors of First Ladies, our development partners, Executive Secretary of OFLAD, Dr. Nados, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is always good to speak last, so you would have copied from all your sisters. And, you just summarize. But please allow me first to express my sincere condolences to our dear sister Monica and the people of Namibia for a great loss, not only for Namibia, but for Africa as a whole. Former president of Namibia is a true son of Africa who believed in Africa, fixing Africa's own problem. Our condolences to them at this difficult time. We're here to talk about educate her and transform Africa. For me, that's the story that I lived through. In the last 5 years, I became First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone in 2018. And in the last 5 years, my focus has been on how do we educate our girls. What are the methods we need to use to educate our girls? What are the radical inclusions that we have to use, implement, so that our girls will have the space and the opportunity to be educated and have equal opportunities in our country? And through that, I decided to introduce the Hands of Our Girls campaign. The Hands of Our Girls campaign, I would say, today is one of the most radical and known campaign, not only in Sierra Leone, but globally. And I'm grateful to all our partners, and I'm grateful to the United Nations for recognizing the Hands of Our Girls campaign. But I want to also give praises where it is due. I want to praise my husband, His Excellency, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, who, out of all of the problems we have in Africa and in our country, Sierra Leone, decided to dedicate 22% of our GDP to education. With that, he had empowered us, and he did not only dedicate 22% of our education, but he actually took the radical step in introducing free quality education. With the free quality education, it gives girls the opportunity to be in classrooms instead of being child brides or dropouts. With the free quality education, a mother should not be worried about how they're going to be paying a fee for their sons and their girls. Now they have equal space. Now, through the free quality education, we are able to introduce the radical inclusion. Radical inclusion is for girls who, for some reason, what has happened to Africa is that when a girl is pregnant, we decide to blame the girl. We don't blame the boy who impregnates the girl. It is always the girl. And the girl is dropped out of school, and the boy continues to go to school. But one person does not pregnate themselves. There's two people who does that thing and make sure the one person is pregnated. So we introduce the radical inclusion, whereas when girls are pregnant, we keep them in school. We keep them in school until they are about to give birth. They go and then they give birth. Immediately when they give birth, as they are strong enough to come back to school, we integrate them back into the schooling system so that they remain in school. That is part of the achievement of the free quality education. And the President also, through the Hands of Our Girls campaign, we realize that our girls are the reason why most of them become pregnant at a very early age. Most of them use motorbikes to go to school, and then they become too familiar with whoever is driving those motorbikes. And by the time you realize, they start dating that person and they become pregnant. So because of that, the President now introduced transportation for school, for everybody going to school, which means the girls benefit through that transportation. Again, we decided to look at the things that are making our girls not to be in school. Books. When you come from a very poor home, a poor background, where the parents, most of our mothers, They have more than 3, 4, 5 children to cater for everyone. To have the right school equipment to be in school is a difficult thing. Our president decided to introduce books, free books for everybody, out girls. Instead, he would say one is for everybody. So we now have free school books. We have free meals for most of our deprived communities around the countries where food is a problem. The government decided to introduce meal. The president also, some people will say our president is he's beyond, he or she is crazy to see women succeed. You know, he introduced a free tuition fee for all girls doing STEM subjects. So for all girls who dare to do engineering, who dares to do technology, who dares to do the things that only boys do, now go to school, they finish their primary, secondary, and then go to university, and it's paid for by the government until they finish university. So we've introduced all of that. But in some of our achievements in the last 5 years include the introduction of the GIWI Act. It's the first time an African president is there to actually make it a policy. You know, what Rwanda has done in including women into every decision-making process. The president in West Africa said, you know what, I'm going to not only include women, but I'm going to make it a law. So he passed the GIWI Act. Today, 30% of all public positions, government positions, are held by women. From parliament, we have 30% of women in parliament. In terms of ministerial position, ministers and deputy ministers, we are about 38%. We don't even want the men to know, so we don't talk about the percentage. We're just occupying our space on the table. We're at 38%. And in that law, for the first time in Sierra Leone, women can now own their own land. They can have a land with their name on it. So they don't have to be waiting for their husband to pity them and help them get a land. For the first time in that GIWI Act, now when a woman is a widow, no family member will come and live you in your husband's house, which was the case before. And that one basically is for both men and women, because immediately a man or a woman is a widow, the family will come and then invade your house and, oh, my brother is not here anymore, my sister is not here, it's their property, and then they take over. We have a new law that says, no, you can't do that. And that also has now helped with the land, women who can have land for themselves. They are now able to gain financial support from banks. They can use their land papers to get loans from banks so that they will be able to do businesses that they wanted to do. These are achievements. Under the Hands of Our Girls campaign, we realized that there is one big problem in Africa, which is menstruation. A lot of people don't want to talk about menstruation. For them, menstruation is the biggest taboo that we don't talk about. And menstruation is part of a woman's life. And I thought, you know what, if we have radical inclusion, we're dealing with radical inclusion, we can also talk about menstruation. So I introduced the free sanitary pad for our girls in school. And today, because of the free sanitary pad for our girls in school, we have 86% of retention of girls in school at the end of every year. Because of the free sanitary pad for girls in school, instead of a girl missing out of school 84 days, which was the case just because they're seeing their menstruation, now they are in school, they can play football, they can play volleyball, they can do everything a boy does in school, and they don't have to worry, because when that time comes for them to see their menstruation, they have the right sanitary pad to take care of them. Our president has changed the laws on rape issues. When he came in 2018, Sierra Leone was basically a country that every day you will hear about rape, and the rape was so bad to the point where they talk about a man raping a child that is 3 months old. That is madness. And today, with that, when that was happening, you know, they go to court. In fact, the case will remain in court forever. There will be no justice, and, you know, the victim will be victimized over and over. Now that is not happening. Because for now, the children in Sierra Leone are called Fatima's children. If you rape any of my children, we're going to court. And if we find you guilty, you will spend nothing less than 15 years in prison. And in an event you rape a woman and that woman died, in that process, we will make sure you go to prison for life. So that has reduced rape issues in Sierra Leone drastically. Because no one wants to go to prison for 15 years and no one, just because of a 5-minute sex, and no one wants to go to prison for life just because of a 5-minute sex. So, through the last 5 years, I presented to my sister that I've managed to get 2 resolutions from the United Nations. One of them is access to justice for rape victims globally, because that has been a problem. When a woman is raped, they go to the judiciary system, and the system is expecting them to be the one to pay their legal fee. Now, with access to justice globally, they are not supposed to be the one paying their legal fee. Through the United Nations also, I managed to get November 18 as a World Day to commemorate the healing process for rape victims. And I want to say thank you again to my dear sister of Angola and my sister of Nigeria, who came to the November 18 celebration, which was the first celebration in Sierra Leone, to commemorate with us in Sierra Leone. We have introduced the HPV vaccine. We got 300,000 of that vaccine from Gavi, which they have introduced into our schooling system, so that we'll try to prevent cervical cancer for our girls. I also want to say, currently, working with UNFPA and UN Women, we're championing one of the laws that is really the reason why we have problem in terms of marriage issues in Sierra Leone, is that our law is so confusing. They said you cannot be married until you are 18, but in an event, if you're not 18, somebody else can give a consent for you. So which means you are legalizing rape indirectly, because no one can give consent on marriage for a child. So that is the campaign we are on right now in Sierra Leone, to make sure it is repealed and that a child can only be married when they are 18, and the child should give consent for themselves. That is what we are focusing on now. In terms of bridging education and health facilities, that is something that we're working on drastically, rapidly right now, including, as we are promoting education, we are promoting health facilities, to have the best of health facilities in our country, so that we don't, because we are basically a health tourist nation at the moment. Any major sickness we have to travel out of our country to seek help. And that we are trying to change, and I hope before the end of His Excellency's term, in the next 5 years, he'll be able to change that. So we stop being health tourists all over the world. With the We Are Equal campaign, I have not launched We Are Equal campaign, because We Are Equal campaign is just like saying hands of our girls, because we're fighting for them to be equal. But what I've decided to do is actually use the Day of the African Child, which is June 16, to actually launch We Are Equal campaign. And what we have done with the Hands of Our Girls, because when you say Hands of Our Girls, it's only about girls. We've decided this year to now include our slogan, which is our girls, our pride, our boys, our allies. So we're working with the boys, because we now want to, in the next 5 years, in terms of making them understand that they cannot touch a girl in that country anymore. We have achieved that. But what we are now trying to do is get the boys to work as allies with our girls, so that they also help them and empower them. They give them the confidence they need in schools, and then they will go together and they will achieve together. These are the things that I am working on at the moment, and through His Excellency the President, we've been pushing. And I'm very much grateful that whatever I try to do in Sierra Leone, I will have a sister. My sisters will come to support, and I want to say thank you to every one of them for supporting the cause, because in Africa today, whether we like it or not, 52% of our population, whatever the First Ladies decide on doing, affects 52% of our population. and that we have to concentrate in making our population better. Our advocacy should be an advocacy not for the elite but for the grassroots, because we have more people below than more people above. And I also think, as we are now looking at merging health, because it has always been health with African First Ladies, when I talk, we've included development, I still believe we still have space to talk about peace, because there is no way you could develop a continent if you don't look at what is causing us our problems. If you look around this table now, we have so many countries that have military rule. And we as African First Ladies, we're not talking about that, because it is not our problem. But whenever there's a problem in our continent or our country, we affect more women and more children. So I think we should also include peace in our campaign, so that when we go to our people, we make them understand that whatever we're doing, it can only be sustained if there is peace in our country. I thank you all for your attention. May God bless you.
I wanted to thank you all for your patience. As we close, let me call upon Her Excellency Mrs. Rachel Russo, First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, to come give closing remarks here at the podium. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency Mrs. Denise Mekeru, Secretary, the First Lady of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Vice President of WAFLAD, Your Excellency Madam Zina, Eithopia, and the National's First, my esteemed sisters, the First Ladies of Angola, Central African Republic, Eswatini, Mozambique, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone, representatives of the First Ladies from Ghana, Namibia, Rwanda, South Sudan, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. Distinguished partners, the Executive Secretary of WAFLAD, Dr. Nados Behanu, technical advisors present, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think we can hear your voices, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we are coming to the end. Your lunch is just next door. The 28th General Assembly of WAFLAD fills me with a sense of gratitude, inspiration, and determination. The discussions, commitments, and resolutions made during this momentous gathering are actionable and inspirational. They underscore the urgent need for our collective action against the gender equity issues facing women and girls across